Hey Tom.
Ah, good
It's
with
me.
a break.
Yeah, it's me, Simas. But if you want to have a chat earlier, we can start earlier. That's fine. We can have a
Yeah,
chat.
certainly. But of course, I have to ask you about your funny little middle name. I guess your parents did not give it to you.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, that's on the Agile Couch in our local language. And the initiative that we are running here with my two other colleagues, we are recording podcasts, but actually in our local language, because we figured there's no information anyways about Agile in our local language, and we wanted other people to get inspired a bit.
Yeah.
But then we thought, why not to use that opportunity to talk with great people and invite them to sit on our Agile couch, such as Agile uncles and others. As if I can say, yeah, uh, you look like from the experience that you have and from the things that you share, like that you really are the uncle of the Agile, or the one that actually initiated some of the things and some of the practices, some of the mindset perspectives that we are currently having in our daily work and daily life. So really happy to have you. And I was
By the way, before this uncle thing gets spread too far, it's okay. But the more normally we talk about being grandfather, and the
grandfather.
Agile Manifesto signers refer back to me in writing, almost all of them, and refer back to my, especially my this book. So Mr. Marek referred to this yesterday in the party session, and he desperately tried to find it in his bookcase. And then he said, "Oh, maybe I let it go with some other books." But I can promise you, as opposed to all the other books I bought, I read this book very carefully, something like that. So that's an example of an Agile Manifesto signer that we know who
Exactly. We're inspired by you.
really did read this stuff. And so, but a grandfather, I'm a real grandfather. I have 5 grandchildren. I'm 80
Oh,
years old.
congrats.
80
Congrats.
years old. So grandfather fits better more than uncle.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, let's change it to grandfather then. I like it even more.
No, call me grandpa. That's or honorable title.
Tom, I did listen to your speech and I really did enjoy it. Uh, I saw a lot of things that yeah, once again, you shared a lot of practices and methods that you kind of started, initiated a long time ago. And it seems like you got inspired a lot of people, and even perhaps Elon Musk, of what I've seen and found. So thanks for your talk once again. And I'll be looking during our talk on the Huva platform into questions that might come from audience, if there are any. As well, I've noted some of the questions during the session. So if you don't mind, I would like to start with something like, yeah, the person that has really a lot of knowledge and experience and historical even experience of how things evolved from the beginning. You did mention that, yeah, Agile is about working, delivering projects incrementally and iteratively. But I wonder if
I'm going to stop you right there.
sure.
An important, but trivial connection. We're you can say delivering projects, but I much prefer delivering stakeholder value.
Okay.
And I don't think about it as a project. That's because the value delivery is continuous, and there may be no end. As I cited Dr. Deming, the plan, do, check, act cycle, which is similar to my Gilb cycle.
Yeah.
It is. I asked Dr. Deming once. I said, "Does the cycle ever end? In other words, become a project as opposed to a process?" And he said, "No, it does not end as long as there is competition from an enemy or a competitor." And that's a very interesting understanding of Agile, that if it's not a matter of we deliver some software and run away. Okay. It is, we are of an organization or building a product or internal use, and the continuous updating of the stakeholders and their requirements and the technological possibilities is always going on. And by the way, Musk and Tesla is so clear about this. There's a saying that I captured yesterday via Joe Justice that Musk says, if it's physically possible, somebody has probably done it. And if we don't do it, we will be outrun by the competition. Same idea. Okay. So we've got to get, I would view Agile as potentially, you can stop it arbitrarily, of course, no more budget for you, goodbye, but a potentially eternal process of survival. Like my body is the project, it dies. The human race is a process, hopefully continuously, like Musk, working for human survival on the planet and on Mars. Okay. Okay. So sorry, I stopped you, but I need to stop the word. That word project is a little bit dangerous. It has this, and we end the project on the deadline idea.
And I think when you stopped me, you did answer the question because it was a bit related to that. So thanks for doing that. I was about talking about continuous delivery on the products, or as you mentioned, on the stakeholders' value, but that's exactly what you mentioned. And thanks for doing that. Additionally, you mentioned some of the practices, Tom, and some of the methods you discuss and describe in some of your books. I wonder regarding priority. You did mention about how to do the prioritization, how to do it properly, that it requires to estimate, it requires to see how much it costs. And well, yeah, by myself, I'm looking into practical example. Practical example looks like our organization is working on something as top priority thing, the most important, and suddenly, not expected, not planned, things change because yeah, there is a fire. We need firefighters to immediately stop whatever they were doing and go there and actually do something else. While still that most important thing is hanging, but it seems like it's not that important anymore. I wonder, yeah, such an experienced person and having a lot of knowledge, what would you say about these situations? And
what would I say about, you said a word I didn't hear. What would I say about priority?
You mentioned the priority in your presentation.
Yeah, very important subject, but I didn't hear the word. What would you say about, and then I didn't hear your word.
Yeah, I wonder what would you say about these situations, and maybe there is a recipe how to avoid them or get into simpler, less difficult decision making.
Okay. So first, a reference to more detailed literature. The SIM Plan book, I showed a slide, a free copy, and you will notice there is a chapter on prioritization there, a set of techniques. And there are references to free downloads about my prioritization ideas. So the detail, how to do it in detail, and is in the SIM Plan book. It's also in several other of my books. If anybody says, I didn't get that, Tom, email me, priority stuff, I'll send it to you, okay? But now, what I've learned is that most people have a static and informal idea of priorities. Boss, what is your first priority? We're going to do it. Customer, what is your first priority? We're going to do it. Okay, now, I believe, and if you look at things like balanced scorecard taught to all the managers, they have a fixed weight for priority. That is also a very stupid idea. Okay, same in quality function deployment, fixed weight. Now, what I believe in is, let's put a name on it, dynamic prioritization. In other words, the fire happens and that's your priority. Okay, conditions change, requirements change. So I believe that we must have a culture of dynamic prioritization, not advanced prioritization. And I believe that the priority, as I showed in the examples with the impact estimation tables, needs to be computed. Mm-hmm. This is automation of the Musk kind, by the way, very much so. And it means that every sprint we can recompute the priority, because in the meantime, new stakeholders have emerged with new needs. The fire has happened, COVID has happened. This is why we have to have a digital system and not yellow stickies
anymore.
We have to be able to input the changes into the system, the automation, recompute the priority at each sprint. Now, by the way, if you're Elon Musk, you have 27 sprints per week to change the car. You can't have a long, several week long process to argue about priorities. That's why Musk is so heavy on, you must automate it, automate all the tests. This is automating the tests, okay? You automate the requirements and designs and the estimates and the costs and the changes, and you press the button and it says, okay, this is your number one priority according to the computation, okay? Now, by the way, here's the other model. Your body uses this process. Your body does not have fixed priority for food or sleep. Your body computes the highest priority for survival first. That's why when you're freezing in the water, everything shuts down except your brain. And it takes, it computes the highest priority, and it does what will first help you survive. And then if it has more energy and resource, it brings you to comfort levels, good levels. That is my model. I call it God's own prioritization method. And this fixed weight thing that they teach at Harvard Business School and other stupid places are ridiculous. And I argue against them in depth in my various books and papers.
Okay, wow.
That's the long answer.
But that's a very interesting answer. And I think it's there you touched quite a few important things that we should be aware about our surroundings. We should act accordingly of what's happening, but not just close ourselves in I don't know, in some box see what's happening outside. Thanks, Tom. Really insightful.
Thanks for good question. I'd love to answer it.
Additionally, while I'm seeing that there are no additional questions coming up, popping in Huwa platform, additionally, I have some other things that I would like really to ask you, as I have such an opportunity. Why not use it? In regards of quality, you did talk as well a bit about the quality, what are the aspects of the quality, when we need to start looking in it. Is it starts from requirements and so on? But I have one question that is burning inside me to ask, that is related to these days hot topic, sometimes a challenge that I wonder, what do you think about quality assurance as itself? These days are treated as two things. One thing, this is as a skill that let's say teams must have, but actually some people treat it that this is as a role that as well must to be in a team. How you see it, and what would you recommend people in quality in these days?
Okay. Number one, so the topic is quality assurance, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, first, it is a set of processes. That is, it's different processes at different places at different times. It is not a person. You can appoint a person to do certain parts of it and call them the quality assurance tester or the quality assurance reviewer, okay? But it's not about people, it's about process. And the rules, by the way, the rules of the game, as Musk understands very well and very many others, quality assurance must start upstream early. That means with stakeholders and requirements and then design. The wrong way to do quality assurance is to have test after delivery. Okay, it works, but it is ineffective. It doesn't find all the defects, and it is costly to repair them. Okay, so the stupidest thing we do is to have this testing after the fact. Now, it helps if we have automated testing, a lot, but still, with all, if you had perfect automated testing, you are not preventing the defects from getting downstream. Now, that example I showed in my slides with Intel, Mr. Terzakis, what are they doing? They have identified what everybody knows, you can read it anywhere, that the primary cause of bugs and bad systems and failures is bad requirements. Okay. Now, and Musk makes this his first principle: get rid of the ugly requirements. Okay, Musk understands this. So the first principle is, as upstream as possible, attack the problem. Now, there are two ways to attack the quality assurance problem. One is to detect that defects are there and fix them. That's what Intel is doing. They're attacking the defects in the requirements and getting them fixed. But everybody knows, there's a saying in English, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. A stitch in time saves 9, Benjamin Franklin. Okay. Now, everybody knows that prevention is more cost effective than cure. In other words, preventing the defect from occurring in the first place is very much smarter than letting it happen 1,000 times a day and then fixing it. That's really stupid. Okay. So let me refer you to something. You'll find it in my books, like my software inspection book. There's a process developed by IBM called Defect Prevention Process, DPP. And you will find it in the SimPlan book with references, for example. What did they do? They organized 3,000 people at the Minnesota labs at IBM to analyze ongoing defects, like bugs in their code, bugs found in test. And then they said, you guys who created the bug, tell us what is the root cause. Was it that you were not trained properly? Was it that you were not given time? And then change the organization first in your little group and see if it works and see if this prevents the bugs. And if it does, we'll spread it to the entire 3,000 person organization. In about 2 years, they spread 2,167 changes to the organization designed by their troops, by the foot soldiers in the trenches with the mud. And they vastly improved the quality of the organization. Now, that is preventing the defects from happening by delegating power to the guys who know and the guys who do, not to outside consultancies, not to the directors. The director's smart choice is to empower the troops. Now, that is published by IBM. You'll find, I've used it with remarkable results at Boeing Aircraft. I can give a detailed study, but I won't do it right now. You'll find it in my works.
Wow.
Okay. But so the word is, one, you must go upstream and do the work. And after coding is too late generally, right? And by the way, with test-driven development, it's almost after coding. It's just before. You haven't tackled the design, and you haven't tackled the requirements, and you haven't tackled the stakeholder analysis. So, in other words, test-driven development is better than test afterwards, but it's nowhere, it's at the wrong stage. It's too late, it's too costly, but it's better than nothing. Okay. So upstream, we need to attack, and we need to attack by preventing the defects from happening, not by detecting the defects of happening. The moment you detect it, it's too late. It has not been prevented. Okay, so.
Okay, but
there's more to say about it, but there's stuff in writing, and if you can't find it, ask me. But look at the SimPlan book.
Could you share one, please, a practical example of preventing? I'm actually curious of what.
Oh, yeah. Then I will give the short story at Boeing.
Sure.
Okay. So I was going to, this is back around 1989, 88. I'm at what is now Boeing, but was then McDonnell Douglas Aircraft in El Segundo. And we had been using my methods to detect errors in the engineering drawings, and very successful, long story short. And there's case studies of this written up. But then the management turned to me and said, Tom, you have some great methods and they work right away with our 3,000 engineers. Have you got any more methods? And I said, well, I just read about something IBM invented called defect prevention process, the one I just talked about. But I've never done it. They said, well, do it, see what happens. So I got a team of 5 young, smart engineers. And the problem was that engineers, when doing engineering drawings, for wings and fuselage, they are human beings just like programmers, and they made errors. They would put the wrong part number, the wrong size on the drawings, just, human error. And so they knew that they were getting, the problems were like, there were too many new engineers that expanded with too little training and experience and too little older people to guide them. That was the big problem. So we sat down and said, how we're going to do this. And first they said, well, we're going to build a gigantic IT system to automatically analyze everything and fix it. And I said, how long will that take? Well, they said 5 or 10 years. How much money will that take? $10 million. Okay, forget it. That is crazy stuff, and it's not going to happen. And we have to solve this problem within 6 months or we die. We go out of business, and we knew that. So I said, think simple. So they thought simple. Now I came back 1 month later. I went there every month for 2 weeks, actually, for a period of 2 years. Okay. And I said, okay, guys, what have you got? They said, well, we discovered that there were some forms that the engineers fill out with part numbers and quantities and references. And we found out they were filling out the wrong information in the wrong column in the wrong way. Okay. What we did was we took a little piece of white paper and we cut out holes where they could fill out, and there were no holes where they were not allowed to fill out for that particular process. This is a Japanese process called pokiyoki or something like that, okay? They made it structurally impossible for people to fill out in the wrong place. And on the hole where they could fill out, they wrote the codes that were valid. So they couldn't write a wrong code so easily. They tested it and it radically reduced the effort. I came back next month, they had 18 color plastic templates with holes in them and information. They had spread them to all 3,000 engineers. This is 2 months after we started doing it. The process was changed for all 3,000 engineers, and they measured a drastic, like 98% reduction in defects at Boeing. That's my story.
Okay, that's really interesting.
Yeah. And what I have all this in writing about how my ideas were so productive from the productivity directors there. You'll find it in I've written the case studies. If anybody is in aircraft or engineering drawings and wants these case studies, I'll be happy to point them to them. Okay, that sounds interesting. I hope you'll share that information with the presentation and links with all the participants. And really interesting solution. It's human errors that we're trying to avoid. That's all about quality. And yeah. But now you mentioned quality. I'd like to at least throw out one idea. What I find is people talk about quality in our business. Now, if you drill down, what do they really, really, really talk about? They're talking about bugs. And they're not talking about safety, security, usability, or any other important quality. That's very immature. They're thinking like a coder. All I care about is my bugs. They're not thinking about systems engineering where we just got hacked and the corporation or the medical center was shut down, and security, not bugs, is our problem. Okay. So now what I've always believed is from, here's 1976, software metrics. If you want to deal with quality, you need to quantify your security requirement. You need to quantify your usability requirement.
Which is very
in my book, Competitive Engineering, Chapter 5, which there are you can have free copies of the whole thing. I think it was in one of my earlier slides. We show exactly how to do that for security, portability, usability. Now, why do you have to quantify? Because if you give to a designer architect, build me great quality, or even just a little bit better, build me better security, that is management bullshit. The architect will interpret it wrongly compared to what the manager was thinking and needing. You have to put a number on it so it is clear and there's a clear agreement. This is what the stakeholder needs, 67% within 5 seconds, detection of hackers, right? And everybody looks at that and they know 67%. And right now we're only at 20% within 5 seconds. Now we can increment with Agile 20, 25, 30 until we get to 67. You must absolutely quantify all qualities before you begin quality architecture or quality design, and then quality agile process of delivering the qualities incrementally. By the way, this is exactly what Elon Musk does at SpaceX and Tesla in amazing, rigorous ways that nobody else is close to it. But he does exactly what I'm talking about. You know, quality marches on iteration to iteration, measured feedback, and he has very clear ideas of how good the quality is going to be.
I'm sure he's reading your books, Tom. Perhaps you could check with him, but yeah, he would say thank you for the hard work that you did. Thanks for answers regarding quality. I believe there is no topic that you couldn't comment on that is related to agility.
Try me.
And yeah, we could spend a whole day talking about different stuff. I just wanted to check.
You could ask me. You could ask me if I understand everything Dave Snowden says, and I'll say I would like to. I've tried many times, but it's a long-term process. Deep study.
Cool. You mentioned one actually interesting thing, and we are running out of time. Just to check, do you still have a few minutes to continue on the conversation?
I'm fine. I'm going to be here all day.
All right. Let's chat. And about others, guys that are on the call, does anyone have any questions? I'm still checking if we have questions in the platform. Don't see any, but if you have something,
maybe they could unmute their microphone and just ask.
Sure. That's the purpose. Just unmute and shout out. Okay. So there is an opportunity always. Don't be afraid about that. There was one thing, Tom, that you mentioned. Really interested as well to check it with you, as being grandfather of the agility of the Agile Manifesto. You mentioned that you did some thinking on the Agile Manifesto and what ideas are not good or how you would see them differently. Could you just very briefly sneak and peek us into your thoughts?
Yeah,
on
happy to do that.
In your mind? I'm just very curious about it.
Yeah. Okay. So we have some feedback. No. Okay. Let's go. Okay. I referred to my book, Value Agile, where I have gone into great depth. By the way, if you Google Tom Gilb Agile Manifesto, you will find a paper published in systems engineering thing, which does the same thing. I analyze the manifesto principle by principle, and then I suggest if I had been invited, what I would have recommended they do. They wouldn't have done it if I'd been there, but that's another matter. Now, I'll give you one example. Let's take this idea. I forget where it is but there's an idea that says the primary purpose of Agile is to deliver working software to the customers and users. Okay, what's wrong with that? Sounds nice. And I believe you should deliver working software as to failed or buggy software, definitely. And I believe that customers and users are important. What's wrong with this, right? And first thing is, this is not the primary purpose of delivering software with correct functionality and no bugs. That's what working means to these people. Your job is to deliver the values, whatever they are, that the stakeholders said they want. If the stakeholder says, I need fantastically much better security, North Korea attacked my organization yesterday, and about to start the Third World War, then delivering some more working software with no bugs is completely uninteresting. Okay, your stakeholder said, I want a massive improvement in security. Now, the programmer cannot give you that. It might not even be done by code at all. It might be done by locks and keys and guns at doors and Lord knows what, right? So it needs to go to an architect who looks at the whole problem of security and all the ways that people get in there, and it architects a solution that deals with all contingencies we can envisage, right? And maybe the programmer doesn't write any code at all, to take the extreme. This whole idea, okay, so in other words, the sentence should be written, the primary purpose of Agile is to give you feedback when you try to deliver values to stakeholders, so that if it isn't working, you can fix it. It's exactly what Elon Musk does on a very large scale, 27 times a week for, as Joe Justice points out, for this Tesla. Exactly.
Okay. So
that's the primary purpose of Agile. In other words, Agile means to react to bad situation, or even an especially good one, and do something about it. Okay, it's not delivering code without bugs to customers. By the way, the most important stakeholder might be North Korea, Russia, or China, the antagonist.
okay,
We need to deliver security to them so that they can't get in.
that's really logical thoughts what you're saying, but no one really thought about this probably, and that's what
I'm trying to get you guys to think about it.
Exactly. People need to start thinking about things. Tom, thank you very much for your time. I know that in 2 minutes another session will start and people will need to go. It was really a pleasure to have you in this conference on the virtual couch. Sadly, you're not with us. We were prepared to have you on the couch. Hopefully next time you'll be able to visit Vilnius and have a chat with us. And once again, you're a great person, grandfather of the Agile. Happy to have you here on the couch, and have a wonderful day.
Okay, thank you very much, Ant. Bye-bye.